pencils, no more books. Well, that could be their anthem.
I like the 2020 because of the way they explain certain things.
The question asks you to...
The cool thing about the software that Carpe Diem uses is that students aren't allowed to move on to the next lesson until they've actually mastered the lesson they're currently on. And there's this little progress bar above each child's learning that shows when you're on pace, you're behind pace, you're making progress.
When you're red and behind, when you're blue, you're on target, and green is ahead.
7th grader Daniel Wright and his sister, 6th grader Kaylee Wright, have only been at Carpe Diem for half a year, but their grades have already improved.
Mainly, I evenly distribute my time throughout all my subjects, so I'm on target every day.
Occasionally, 12th grader Daniel Cuestas takes mental breaks. He plays video games. It is permitted with the understanding that there are consequences.
The coaches, they'll see how much work you've been doing, and they see very little, they cannot block your internet very easily. Also, if you have a favorite class, like I do, they'll block that class. Your favorite class can make you do the other one.
They begin to take responsibility, how to be responsible for time management and course management and their learning styles.
The E2020 lesson plan is very thorough and can be customized for each school.
There are state and district standards that differ from place to place. And a school district wants to focus on a different set of standards or emphasize a different part of the curriculum, we can do that.
Incorporated into the many E2020 lesson activities are pre-test, vocabulary lessons, and even games.
Then there's something called the direct instruction where there's a teacher explaining to you on the computer.
Then, at the end of each course, a comprehensive, cumulative test is taken.
The assessments are ongoing, so the school district always knows where every student in the school is.
The curriculum assessments out of E2020, they're built in, but we also have teacher-made assessments. We also use Acuity. It's a national assessment that allows us to do a third-party kind of evaluation.
And at Carpe Diem, that information is constantly shared with parents.
Here it's real time. Anytime, any day, a parent can log on and see their student's progress.
At any given time, you can check in on and see where your child is at.
Rebecca Modine's parents, Dan and Diane, appreciate the steady flow of feedback.
Just go online and check in and see where they're at with their work.
Or, if you prefer the old-fashioned way,
Anytime we wanted to know about her grades or how she's doing, all we had to do was call here and talk to Mr. Crain.
but 21st century technology rules in this school. Blackboards have been replaced with high-tech boards.
The smart board allows me, the teacher, to basically bring outside activities in via the internet.
And information is literally in the palm of your hand.
I have a Droid smartphone, and every day, multiple times a day, I'm receiving data on the students. I absolutely believe it's the future of education in America. Technology, unfortunately, is everywhere. It's invaded every area of life. We are not suggesting that every school look like Carpe Diem. We are suggesting that every school make use of technology and leverage it.
All right, team, Carpe Diem.
Carpe Diem is working. More schools like it are being planned, and one may open soon in Indiana. And now, here's a fact you can bank on. As they switch from print to digital, schools are saving money, and it's also paying off in student success. That story next.
Who was that guy? So I wanted to show you that, to show you what we've developed over the last 10 years. And you can see where my heart was. Lita and Miss Jane visited about, I don't know, it was 5 or 6 years ago, and I took them to the school, and I showed Lita around, and I was explaining to her the school. I didn't say anything, and all of a sudden I saw a look in her eye, and she looked at me, and I knew what she was going to say, and I said, yes, wouldn't this be great on Maui? And so, but I did want to give you the view of the school. So, the difference, and let me just talk about this for a minute, and then we'll wrap this thing up, that in the blended model, it's student-driven as opposed to curriculum-driven. So when you and I went to school, the teacher had a curriculum, and you had to get through the book. and the teacher went through the lesson during the day, and you may have said, oh, wait a minute, I didn't get it. But the teacher's got to move. They can't sit around and wait for you to get it. In this model, the student can take time. It's an individualized plan, and if they need more time on the lesson, they can take more time on the lesson. If they don't need time, they can zoom ahead. So students take charge of their own education. They have to master a daily minimum, but they can work ahead without waiting on others. 3 years ago, the valedictorian of our graduating class was a true sophomore. And she tested out in 7th grade in the high school classes. Now, we didn't move her into high school as a 7th grader, but we let her take high school classes. So by the time that she got to be a sophomore, actually by the time she finished her freshman year, we had her sophomore year going out to the local junior college. And then the year that she graduated as a sophomore, the next year she had her AA degree from a local college. So that is possible in this model. It's student-centered as opposed to teacher-centered. It's to say the teacher becomes a guide by the side, not a sage on the stage, because the teaching is going on in the computer. And when the kids need help, then the teacher can come along the side and pull them away and say, okay, let's talk about this. You didn't understand how they taught graphing, algebraic graphing. Let's go over here and let's talk about this, and let me give you a different way that maybe you can learn it. So why is it successful? It's because it's built on relationships. The Carpe Diem schools will never go over 300 students. I had at one time, second year we did the school, I had 300 students. That was a lot of students. After that, we stayed at around 270. And I knew every one of my kids. And every day at the door, they were greeted by our secretaries by name, these kids. And so I knew their strengths, I knew their weaknesses. Every day I checked their grades. Our teachers did also. And so it was a personal thing going on. We know their strengths. If they don't know how to divide fractions, we know they don't know how to divide fractions. We're not going to be surprised in the spring testing. Oh, we didn't know those kids didn't know how to. No, we know it. So, and then I also say that rules without relationships breeds rebellion. So if you're going to give kids rules, you have to build a relationship with them. It's rigorous. It's assess all the time. Now I know with you guys may have heard some things about Common Core right now and some of the things that are going on in the public schools where it's all about testing. Under our model, it's not all about testing, but it is all about assessing so we know what the kids know, or we know what they don't know. So you just have to be able to do that. And it's so easy electronically. So easy to be able to know that, and you will know it too as a parent. It's student-driven, it's also relevant, it's student-driven, it's real-time feedback, and it connects to real-life experiences. That's the purpose of our school. So what will Maui Christian look like? You saw some of the pictures of our learning center in Yuma. That was the very first school we built. Probably the room we're going to retrofit is going to look a little bit like this, but it'll be desk with computers on it. And then there'll be a room where we can pull out for direct instruction, something like that. This is our Yuma campus, and I actually took this picture on my iPhone a couple of years ago just to show you that there are rainbows. And it was a double rainbow. There are rainbows in Arizona, and we built this. We modeled it after a call center, one big room with classrooms around the edge for direct instruction. So it was kind of modeled after a call center, and if you walk in it, it's kind of what it would look like. Then 2 years ago, that was the inside of Carpe Diem, and then 2 years ago, we opened the Meridian campus in Indianapolis, Indiana, and they built a 2-story building, which I really like. The problem with having the one big learning center with the classrooms around was the noise level. Kids coming out of the classroom into the learning center, it got really noisy. So when they built the Meridian campus, they did the learning center upstairs, library mode all the time. That's study area, you don't talk. Downstairs was the classrooms, you can make noise, you can have projects, you can do all kinds of things. So I really would love to see that kind of building on some property in Central Maui. That's our vision. And there's another view of the Indianapolis school. And then this fall, they opened a school. This was the unfinished building in Cincinnati, Ohio. They opened another school. So when will the school start? We're going to start next fall. We are going to start next fall. And of course, our big vision is to have property and be in Central Maui. The backup plan is to find a temporary facility in Central Maui where we could have a school. But because we want to start next fall, we're just going to do it right here. We have a room over here, and we can start with probably up to, what did we say, 30 students? Around 30 students. And we're going to go ahead and start right here. Now, understand that we don't have to have a big staff for that. As a matter of fact, with 30 students, I really only need one teacher. Because remember, the teacher, the instruction's going on in the computer. So our next steps would be to complete the startup and implementation guide, which I've been working on. So this is all the things you need to start a school. And we've almost got that complete. Recruit students. Since it's a go, we want to recruit students. And then retrofit the facility, which is going to be start happening this spring. Now, I told you there are 2 men on the mainland that are really, really interested in seeing this school happen. Doug Bauma of Bauma Construction, he constructs schools all over the world, and he is a Christian man. He's a wonderful Christian man, and he's one of our consultants. He's doing it free of charge. He just wants to see success here on Maui. And then, of course, Rick Oxton, my former boss, who developed the Carpe Diem model, and he is another man of God. And these two guys really, really want to help us succeed. But most of all, your school board here. I was telling the staff this morning, you know, sometimes you don't really know what you have until you leave it. And I have never, ever worked with a school board. By the way, I'm on a school board. And the school board I'm on is nothing like the school board here. You guys, your board is, you got godly men and women that want to help kids keep their eyes on Jesus. And I just can't think of a higher calling than that. So I really want to thank the Doris Todd School Board for their vision here. So, well, look, that's my presentation. Instead of opening to questions, because some of you may have to go, what I'd like to do is just say, I'm here the rest of the day. So if you would like to stay and answer any specific questions, I'm here. We also have some handouts. So I'm going to put Mr. Ward to work.
Could I put in something, though? Just a few weeks ago, I was reading a book, and a phrase in the book really caught my attention, because it impacts you as parents. And the question is, the thing is, you have a really important decision to make for your children, because it affects their whole future. And in this book, it said that it's really the 15,000 hour decision. The decision about where parents send their children to school is really a 15,000 hour question. That's about how many hours young people are going to spend with their various teachers between kindergarten and graduation from high school. Think about it. Where do you want them to be? And I added the question, who do you want your children to be around when they begin asking questions about the meaning and purpose of life? Who do you want answering that kind of question? Do you want it to be someone who doesn't know God, doesn't believe in God? Or do you want it to be someone who not only knows about God, but has that personal, intimate relationship? So to me, it comes down to that 15,000 hour question. That's a lot of time, isn't it? So you want to think about that. I'll hand these out and then you can
Okay. So thank you for coming this morning, and feel free to come up and ask some questions.
Can I ask a couple general questions that maybe other people might